Hey everybody, so if you've made it here, you're really almost done. After you're done today's workout, we just have 2 more working weeks and then there's going to be a deload week. And then we're into a whole new challenge, the Positive Emotions in Motion Challenge, to help you work with any emotional eating issues you might be struggling with. So stay tuned, that one's going to be pretty cool, but we still got some work to do on this one, and this is the last of our 3-week metronome training block in this challenge. This is the 6th metronome workout. And I've saved for you probably the hardest metronome exercise out of them all. It's a 3/4 burpee. So we're going to be doing a burpee without the push-up. And here comes my dog. Hi, Peppermint. You want to say hi to the people? You going to say hi? Come here. Come here. Come here. Come say hi to the people. This is my little Shih Tzu. She's kind of nuts. She's a lot nuts. Hi. Yes. Hi. You want to say hi? Yeah. I'm videoing, you know, I'm very busy. Dexter, you come to say hi too? Dexter? Yeah, here he comes. Come say hi to the people. Hi, buddy. Oh, there you go. Hi, hi. How are you? How are you? What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? Huh? What? What? Sorry. Just gotta give a little bit of doggy time, and then, you got something to say? What you do? What are you doing? I'm busy. Okay, you gotta go. Let's go. Come on. Go. Go see mom. Go see mom. You're a good boy. Go see mom. Go. I love you too. Go see mom. Okay? Sorry, I forgot to lock the gate. Go. I love you. Go. See you later. Go. Come on. Go. Go. Sorry, folks. Love them to death. Just like kids. Anyways, so we're going to do a burpee. It's a 3/4 burpee without the push-up, okay? You kind of have to speed your metronome up a bit for this one, and you'll see why. I'm going to show you at a slower metronome beat what it looks like, and you'll see that you lose time with the metronome. You have to play around with it until you see that for the motion you're keeping in time with the metronome, okay? There's a chance actually of starting out by going too slow on this one. Okay, so here's what it looks like, and this is too slow, so you'll see where the gap is. Okay, you see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and my feet should be coming down on the ground on the 4th beat. So I'll show you, I'll count it and show you how I'm off the metronome. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. So there's a gap. I'm coming down about half a second too quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed the metronome up. I've played with it, and I know that about 90 beats a minute, 90, 95 beats a minute, is probably the right speed for me, okay? So here we go. Okay, so you're gonna have to find the right speed. And like I said, chances are that what you set it at is actually gonna be too slow for you at first, okay? So push yourself until your feet go back, up, forward, you jump up, come down in that beat, okay? Back, forward, up, down. Back, forward, up, down. And of course, you're not going to be suspended in the air for very long, so the metronome's going to have to be going fairly quickly. You may not be able to do 2 minutes of this one, okay? So what I'm going to invite you to do, and I mean that because if you've got the metronome going at the right pace to follow the actual movement, then you're going to gas out pretty quickly. So I'm going to show you other options, like I always do, that you can choose to do as kind of a, we'll call it a drop set. So you're dropping the intensity throughout the set. I do want you to go for the 2 minutes, but if you find that you can't do the back, forward, up, down, then I want you to drop to the next option, which is just doing the frog jumps. So rather than jumping up, you're just going back, forward. Okay? And if that doesn't work, if you get to a place where you're like, no, that's still too much. So you started out with the 3/4 burpee, then you go into the frog jump, then you can go to a chair burpee. Or just stand up. Stand up without jumping. So I'm rocking back. My feet are coming off the ground. Okay, and if those don't work, no problem. We can do any of the exercises we were doing in the previous weeks for the squat pattern of the metronome training. Let's slow this down a wee bit. Right? Okay, or just squatting. Or squat to press. There's Peppermint again. Hi, Peppermint. Exercising. Or just half squats, right? Usual suspects. Around the clock. Slow it way down. You can go even slower if that's too quick for you. Right, good balance training. So, those are all your options for the squat pattern. Okay, now the lunge pattern, basically stuff we've done before. A little bit just lunging on the ground, a little bit on the stepper. We're just going to do a reverse lunge with hip flexion, okay? And you're going to choose again a pace of the metronome that allows you to be able to get to the 2-minute mark, but you're gassed out at 2 minutes, okay? Where you're not really able to keep pace with the metronome, so you want to challenge yourself. So here's what it looks like. You can do full lunges, you can do half lunges. You don't have to do the hip flexion part. You can just lunge and come back, okay? So that would look like this. I'm only doing half lunges to demonstrate these. Okay, you can also do forward lunges, which are a little more challenging. And all the usual suspects, right? And again, if your knees are bothering you, and you don't want to bend your knees when you do hip flexion or hip extension, just keep your legs straight. So here's what it looks like. Legs straight. Squeeze the butt. Squeeze the butt. Muscle on the side, glute med, glute max, glute med, hip flexor, glute med, glute max, okay? And you can do the circling one if you want. Again, take your pick, whatever works for you. Okay, so let's get this thing done, folks. Because this will be the end of your 10th working week when you're done today. You, sir, we're busy. We're trying to do a workout. We're trying to do a workout. We're very busy. We're very busy. Dexter, you got something to say? Really? Dexter, you got something to say? 11 and a half years old. You got something to say? What are you doing? Dexter, you just made your sister's bark color go off. I'm busy. I gotta do a workout. What are you doing? I gotta do a workout. What? What? I'm busy. I do a workout. Very busy. No dogs on the floor. You know that. You know the rule. Okay, go. Go see Mom. Come on, go. Go see Mom. No. Go. Peppermint, go with your brother. Go. I'm closing the gate this time. Come on, I love you. Go. 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 All right. They won't be coming in again. Okay, folks, get ready. If you need to, pause the video here to try and figure out what metronome beat you need in order to do the exercise. And also, again, please be smart about exercise choice, right? If the 3/4 burpee doesn't work for you, by all means, do not do it, okay? If there's any kind of like, I don't know, don't even want to try that, Mike, don't do it, right? Only do what works for you, okay? So, get your metronome ready, get the count ready. We're going to start in 3, 2, 1, and the timer's on, folks. Here we go. Okay, so go. That's too much? No problem. Just frog jumps. No worries, you want to do chair burpees, right? Or no jump. Or just squat with hip flexion. Regular squats with a press. Just squats. And by the way, you can do box squats on a chair where you just tap your butt on the chair every time you come down. Gives you a sense of safety and lets you know you're coming down pretty low. Usual suspects. Go back around the other way. Slow the metronome right down. Okay, here we go. First set. How was that? Check in with yourself, especially if you did the full burpee thing. How'd your joints like it? Did they like it? Did they hate it? And if it was okay, then kind of make a mental note. One thing I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, I should have, is that if you can have your timer when you're doing this one on your own, if you're ever doing it on your own, handy. And if you find you can't do the full 3/4 burpee through the entire 2 minutes, make a mental note of how many seconds in did I have to change to the next exercise down? Did I have to drop down to the next exercise, maybe the frog jump, right? And then when you come back to do that again at some point in the future, not in the second set, because the second set's going to be harder. I would be surprised if you're even able to go for as long as you were in the first set because you're fatigued, right? You're gassed. But if the next week or the week after you try it again and you find you're able to go longer with the primary exercise, good, then you progressed, right? You always want to keep an eye on how you're getting better because sometimes it's hard to see. Sometimes it gets lost. I know a lot of my clients will say to me, I don't feel like I'm any stronger than when I started with you years ago. But when we review the records, we see that, you know, when they were only lifting 10 pounds years ago, now they're squatting 80 or 90 pounds, right? For the same number of repetitions. So they've improved. It just still feels as hard as it did on the day they started because what I'm always trying to do is give them enough of a challenge that they are continually stimulated to improve, right? Okay, so here we go. Second set. Get ready, start your metronome app in 3, 2, 1, and go. Here we go. And drop down if you need to, whenever you need to. Try and make note of the time. And again, just regular Squatting. So you're rocking back in the chair. Regular squats. Maybe with a press. Maybe I'm doing a chair squat. Just tapping the chair as I come down, right? Move the chair out of the way. You can do all the usual suspects. Maybe I can do a little bit of rocking forward and backwards, right? Trying not to put this foot on the ground in between hip flexion, hip extension, flexion, extension. As a balance trainer, along with contracting the hip flexor, contracting the glute, right? I'm practicing instability. Got this knee bent. Do the other side, got this knee bent. My eye on a spot on the wall. A little speck of dirt. Gotta clean up. Okay. Leg circles. You can do anything you want with these. You can be holding on to something if you need to, or not. Here we go. Okay. One more set. One more set. Check in again. Maybe you're able to do the 3/4 burpee for the first set and the second set, but maybe it's feeling like, nah. Going into the third set, I don't think so. I think we're going to tone it down a bit. Good, pick your exercise. Maybe just the frog jump, maybe the chair burpee, maybe the squat with the hip flexion, squat to press, or any one of the other ones, okay? What you want to do is you want to make sure that you're doing an exercise where you feel challenged, where you feel like your cardio, and it's not really cardio, is not the right word to use it, but I know that that's a common understanding. When I'm gasping, I'm out of breath. It's actually not cardiovascular training, but see, when you feel that your cardio is really being challenged and that you can't get enough air and that you're starting to gasp for breath, that's what you should feel like at the end of the 2 minutes. And of course, that means that you're actually not able to keep up with the beat on the metronome, right? And that's why we rest for 1.5 minutes in between sets. And by the way, if you feel at the end of 1.5 minutes that you're not ready to go for the third set, there's a pause button on this thing. Just hit that pause button and wait till you do feel ready, okay? Go at the pace that works for you. There's no pressure. Remember, you're competing against you. You're just trying to get a little bit better each week, each time you do this. And you want to work out in a way that's sustainable, not in a way that as you're approaching the workout, you're like, oh, that thing is so awful. It's so hard. I really don't want to do it, okay? You want it to be sustainable. Okay, so we set it back up to 2 minutes here. This is the last set of the squat pattern, and then we're into the lunge pattern. Get your metronome going. Okay, I'm going to start this thing in 3, 2, 1, and go. Here we go. Frog jumps. Or, again, chair burpees. Or just the squat. Just chair squats with a press. Just squat, hip flexion. Chair out of the way. Oh, the usual suspects. Actually, I'm going to do that rocking back and forth one, the stability one. I kind of like that, right? Don't touch the ground. Force myself to balance on this leg. Same thing on this leg. But I'm also contracting, 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 contracting. More balance work. Again, not touching this foot to the ground. Same thing here. Got a spot on the wall. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. Good balance stuff, those last options there. Okay. All right. How you feeling? Just about done with that awful burpee stuff? I understand if you are. It's like my friend Dina. She's on day 400 and whatever of doing, she's doing like 100 burpees a day and 100 push-ups and 100 this and 100 that. That woman is a machine. Older than me, far better conditioned than me. She's a real inspiration. Dina McDermott. She's in this group. Look her up, by the way. She's a great trainer. I'm not one to be all greedy about being the only trainer out there worthy of getting clients. Dina has a format, a way she does it, and it's fantastic, and her clients are super loyal. So you look her up, and if her style is for you, give her a call. Lunge pattern. Okay, check in with your joints here because, again, the squat and the lunge, we're using all the same joints. We're using hips and knees primarily, okay? But lower back is also at play. You know, when I say joints, your lower back, you've got this thing called your sacrum, which is your tailbone that sits below your lumbar spine, and the two joints on either side are called your sacroiliac joints. Those are joints you want to watch out for too, because if they're not happy, your back isn't happy and you're not happy, okay? So check in, is there any back pain going on, right? And if there isn't, you're good to go with whatever exercise you feel you can do in the lunge pattern, okay? So if there's no hip pain, no back pain, no knee pain, you can push it, right? But if you're experiencing pain in any one of those, then consider using any of the other exercises that I'm demonstrating, okay? So remember, the first one I'm gonna do is a reverse lunge with hip flexion, okay? So it's reverse lunge, hip flexion, reverse lunge, hip flexion. That's your 4 count. If that doesn't work, just a reverse lunge or just a forward lunge. 2 forward lunges are a little harder than reverse lunges. You can do half lunges as well. You can also do squats here, you know, if you did one kind of squat in the first set, you can do another kind of squat in the second set here, and then all the usual suspects. So here we go. Starting in 3, get the metronome going. Starting in 3, 2, 1, and go. So here we go. Back, hip flexion. Back, hip flexion. Stay with the metronome beat. Hopefully you've chosen a beat that you can keep with for 2 minutes, but at about the 2-minute mark, you're a little too gassed to keep with it. Okay, if you just want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, just lunges, just half lunges, whatever works, or just squats, like I said. Again, a squat to press or squat, side delt raise, squat, front delt raise, right? Or if you want to here, just good mornings. Again to the metronome beat, right? And or maybe that's a little boring. Maybe you want to get some arms involved. That's fine. Hip flexion, arms. Extension, arms. Abduction, arms. Flexion, arms. Extension, arms. Abduction, arms. Or arms to the front. You can do a full shoulder press if you want. Even if you just stand here doing hip flexion or hip extension, this is actually part of a lunge pattern, right? So remember, lunging happens when you walk, when you climb stairs, when you go downstairs, when you run. Squatting happens when you bend over to pick something up. Actually, that's more of a deadlift, but it's still a squatting pattern because you're using your quads and your glutes. Or when you get in a chair, get out of the chair. Get in a car, get out of the car. Get on the toilet, off the toilet. That's a squatting pattern, right? So these are all very functional movements. I mean, you may look at the lunge with the hip flex and you think, what the heck's that about, right? When do I use that? Well, when you think about it, what happens when you go up a stair? You hip flex, step down. Hip flex, step up, down a little higher. Hip flex, step down, right? So really, it's a functional movement in the sense that it's a movement that can train you to move better through the world in your daily life. And as I'm in my mid-50s, I'm starting to realize that my workouts are not so that I can be all ripped and lift the most in the gym and have the best PRs out of all my friends. That's personal records or PBs, personal bests. It's really about being able to live comfortably into a good old age and being able to move through the world with ease and comfort. That's really what I want in my, let's call it the second half of my life, okay? So we got just a little bit of time left and then we're gonna get back in. So get ready with your metronomes. We're in set number 2 of 3 of the lunge pattern and we're done. The second workout for week 11. Okay, get your metronomes going, folks, because we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Okay, lunge, hip flex, lunge, hip flex. Or just lunge. Or squat, shoulder press, front delt raise, or you can squat with external rotations if you want. Got tight shoulders, this might be a good one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get it? Okay. And that swinging balance one we were doing. What if we added arms into this? Look at this. Okay. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Now we got some serious balance going on because I got my leg up and I got my hands up. Lots of instability here. Okay. Or just delt raise, right? If doing a shoulder press bothers your shoulders. What if we did this? Slow circles and then at the end, get it? Whoop, lost my balance. Guess I need some balance training. But my foot's up when I'm doing this shoulder press part. Okay, here we go. One more set to go. All right. Check in with yourself. Be smart on this last set. Maybe on your last set, you may be really starting to hurt, right? Maybe your hips or your knees or something are really starting to bother you. But you're thinking, no, you know what, I'm just going to push through it. I'm going to do that last exercise. We'll do the hardest one that he showed. I know it's hurting, but I'm just going to push through it. Remember, joint pain does not get better with effort and exercise, okay? Generally speaking, I'm sure there's exceptions. There are exceptions, I know, I've seen them. But 95% of the time they don't, it gets worse. Because it's usually like bone on bone, right? And that's never a good thing. If you're getting that muscle burning sensation, that I'm getting gassed out sensation that you're supposed to be getting at the end of the 2 minutes with metronome training, that's all to the good, okay? But that joint pain, that is not to the good. We don't want that. Okay, so please be kind to yourself. Choose an exercise that does not generate joint pain in this last set. If you started to feel in your second set that maybe there was going to be some, that there was some joint pain, And, you know, again, it's also about listening to your gut, right? Like, what's your gut telling you? Is there this little thing in your gut that's saying, maybe, just maybe, it's a good idea that I don't push myself quite so hard. Listen to that voice. That voice will keep you exercising for a long time, for many years to come, okay? So, we got about 5 seconds left, so I'm going to tell you to get your metronome ready, set it up, turn it on, and we're going to start in 3, 2, 1, and here we go, folks. Go. Okay? If you want to make these harder, you can hold on to weights. I should have said that earlier. You can also put ankle weights on if you have them, right? The hip flexion gets really tough with some ankle weights. I'm just going to do regular lunges. These are half lunges, actually. Hope you can see that. I'm giving you permission to not necessarily go down as low as you can, if that feels good. The squat patterns would be fine. Shoulder press no good. You can do this swooping thing too. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lots of things you can do. You make it up as you go along, right? Doesn't all have to be my way. If you find a cool movement pattern, by all means do it. Okay? Swinging. Movement instability. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. See, I'm unstable because my leg is up and holding off the ground as I'm doing this. And then I'm raising my arms. Changing lever lengths all over the place. There you go. That's it. Folks, that's 3 sets of a squat pattern, 3 sets of a lunge pattern, and we are done the metronome training. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What I'm noticing in the comments that I am getting is that many people are surprised. They're like, well, I didn't think I'd like the metronome training, but I'm actually quite liking it. So that's good. That's fantastic. Hopefully, like I said, you're learning about the types of exercises that you like to do. And for the final 2 weeks that we're going to be together, we're going to be doing mini circuits, okay? So what that's going to look like is we're going to have 3 or 4 exercises in the first circuit and 3 or 4 exercises in the second circuit. You're going to do 10 to 15 repetitions. I'll tell you what, how many to do of each exercise, and you're going to keep rotating through the exercises for a total of 2 minutes. Okay, as fast as you can with as much weight as you can, so that at the end of the 2 minutes, you're feeling pretty gassed out. Again, like you're working at about a 7 or 8 out of 10. More on that though next week when I post them. Stay tuned. Hope you're liking this so far. And as always, please, comments what you like, what you don't like, what changes you might like to see. If you need help on any particular exercise, need some other exercise ideas because none of the ones I'm giving you are working, that's okay. Put your thoughts in the comments below and or message me offline, okay? Well, online, but like outside of Facebook, you can use Facebook Messenger, phone or text 647-677-6025 or email mike@fitin20.ca. We will see you next week.